Hey everybody, this is Vince Miller. Thank you so much for joining me for another devotional. Today we are reading in John chapter 6. I'm going to read verses 1 through 5. Great moment. After this, Jesus went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias, and a large crowd was following him because they saw the signs that he was doing on the sick. Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. Now, the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was at hand. Lifting up his eyes then and seeing the large crowd that was coming toward him, Jesus said to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread so that these people may eat?" Now, what I want you to notice today was the name of the lake. In Greek, it was called the Sea of Galilee. In Roman times, after Herod Antipas built the city of Tiberias on the lake's west shore, it became known as the Sea of Tiberias. And in Hebrew times, long before these two names, it was formerly known as the Sea of Gennesaret. And I think it's kind of interesting to hear the evolution of these names as language, times, events, and power shifts, isn't it? Now, in contrast, God's name endures, fellas. His power never ends. His story never changes. And this moment right here is a visual reminder to the people who follow Jesus that God doesn't change. This moment marks the eve of the Passover meal. So for Jews, this was a critical meal celebrating the deliverance and salvation of God's people from Egyptian slavery. And during the celebration of this meal, families would recall and recount and even reenact the actual events of their deliverance from Egypt as a reminder to their families. And yet, this time, during this meal, God reminds them in the flesh. Jesus, who I'm going to call here the second Moses, directs a mass of thousands of people. He leads them miles around a body of water. He then goes up to the mountain, commands the people, then teaches, feeds, and performs an astonishing miracle of food. And if you know the history of the Exodus, you'll know that that sounds a lot like what God did through Moses. Salvation from God through Moses, a single prophet. Interesting moment, isn't it? Everybody would have caught this, by the way. Now, today, I know that we live in these rapidly changing times, right? Names are being altered, genders are being re-identified, history is being rewritten, power is changing hands, prices are soaring, of course, concerns and threats of war increase, and all these changes can cause, us to fear. It can cause mankind to be afraid. And yet our God is the same God he has always been. His name and authority will never change. Salvation is only and always from him. So today, if you feel a little fear because of all these rapid changes, stop fearing the change. Fear God. He never changes. And he is the only constant you will ever have and need. Just turn back to the words of Moses as his life comes to an end. Deuteronomy 18, verse 15, Moses said this, "The Lord, your God, will raise up for you a prophet like me from among you, from your brothers. It is to him you shall listen." How about that? Great stuff. I love you guys. I pray this has blessed you today. If it has, share it with someone else. And I'll see you right back here again tomorrow.